sure my horns are popping. Okay, we are about to be on our way to the gym. Yeah, we're gonna hit legs today, and I just feel great right now. I had my first cup of coffee in like 2 weeks. Not intentionally. I mean, I had the cup of coffee intentionally, but I wasn't trying to stay away from coffee intentionally, is what I meant to say. And I was still having caffeine, but for some reason coffee just hits me different. I had instant coffee, so it's not like some fancy ass French press, or I don't even know if some people consider that fancy or not. But anyways, I am stimulated right now, and I had that instant coffee with this like barista oat milk that my sister likes to buy. And then because I like my coffee to be extra light looking, I added another like splash of almond milk. And for sweetener, I used monk fruit. I used to use stevia because I don't like using just plain sugar. Well, not anymore anyway. And I was using Truvia, which is a stevia sweetener, or sweetener from the stevia leaf. And I don't know if I've discussed what Viome is on here before, but basically it's a gut test that tells you the types of foods that you should be avoiding, the types of foods that you should be minimizing, and also the types of foods that are like your superfoods, aka would be giving your gut the most amount of bacteria that's actually good for it, or I guess supporting the type of bacteria it should have more of. And I took this test like years ago, but because my eating habits hadn't really changed, I have still tried to like follow it, or at least recently. And they've updated this app like a cajillion times throughout the years. And I noticed the other day when I logged onto it that stevia leaf was actually under the foods that I needed to avoid. So once I saw that, I was like, say less. I have a monk fruit sweetener anyway, so I might as well use that. And the thing that I like about monk fruit sweetener is a little goes a really long way. So even like psychologically for me, damn, that was your purse. Even like psychologically for me, or I should say mainly psychologically, it just feels good to know that with a little amount, it's still sweet. Because there's something in my head about overusing something that doesn't really have nutritional value that kind of like hurts my soul a little bit. And I don't know if that's just me. It's probably mostly me, but yeah, I like being able to grab this little tiny spoon and like pour it into my cup or my oats, so depending on what I'm sweetening, and knowing that it's enough, like it makes me feel good. I'm probably gonna start sweating soon because this car is hot and I'm wearing a sweater. Yeah, no, it's okay. I also put L-citrulline into, well, I haven't even taken it, so that's kind of irrelevant to share. Maybe I should just share it anyway. L-citrulline is usually found in some pre-workouts and or intra-workout powders, and the point of having it in like a pre-workout or an intra-workout powder, or at least from like the bro science point of view, is that it's going to help bring blood flow / pumps into the muscle so that you really feel the muscle like hot and engaging. So a lot of bodybuilders like to use it amongst other athletes. And a while back, okay, it was like maybe years ago, I don't know when I started doing this, maybe 5 years ago, I started looking at the ingredients in all these pre-workouts and intra-workouts and thinking, okay, what if I don't want this whole blend? What if I just want a specific compound? Like, can I find it? And then of course I was able to find it, and because I was able to find it, I was able to use it and add it into my drinks without having to also take all the other additional compounds that maybe that day I didn't want to take. Like for example, beta-alanine would be another one, and a lot of people don't like beta-alanine because it makes them itch, or it makes them feel like certain parts of their body are itching, or like they have ants crawling, and a lot of people dislike that. I like it, I don't have a problem with it, but we're talking about L-citrulline, not beta-alanine. And with L-citrulline, I feel like I really get some crazy pumps and blood flow in my body. And I've noticed that the last 2 times I've used it, I also feel like it makes me sweat a little bit more. Or maybe because I'm getting that blood flow really good, it warms up my body a little bit more, hence I'm able to sweat a little bit more. I'm not a certified nutritionist. I am a certified personal trainer, but the nutrition that they teach you to be a certified personal trainer is minimal at best. So my nutrition knowledge comes based off of my own personal experience and different things that I've read throughout my life. I'm also like really stimulated right now with my caffeine, so I think I just need to like stop, take a deep breath, take a sip of water, and prepare for this lower body day. So, like I just mentioned, this is a lower body day. I split my days at the gym between lower body and upper body, but I'm not working the entirety of either of those every single time. So, this lower body day was mainly a glutes and hamstrings focus, or was it a hamstrings and quads focus? I guess we'll find out when we move on to the next clips. Okay, and now I'm doing, deadlifts on the Smith machine, which, you'll see me do deadlifts on a regular barbell, but the reason I switch between the 2 is that when I'm doing it with a regular barbell, it's either to improve my strength or to work mainly on my posterior chain, which includes my back, not just glutes and hamstrings. But when I'm doing it on this machine, I'm really focusing on the glutes contraction aspect of the movement. And I'm doing this specifically to help grow my glutes, keep them nice and tight, firm and strong, which I've been focusing on and doing for a really, really long time, for years. Sometimes I'm like ashamed to say how long I've been working on it because I'm like, shouldn't it be like so much bigger or shouldn't it be so much more obvious? But, I think this is what makes it realistic is showing you can be somebody that goes to the gym for a really long time and not look like this crazy genetic freak. And, it's because I also have a life that's outside of the gym that affects me in different ways. But nothing has made me stay away from the gym for an extended period of time. I always come back, even though, I've gone through different issues with my insecurities and social anxiety. I always come back, and some sessions are better than others, but I find that when I come back, just getting into the workout itself, it keeps me very grounded. And that's something else I wanted to talk about when it comes to working out. It is a way of me to ground myself. I know that I've spoken about getting into trance states, being able to get into trance states better because of working out. I've talked about different ways that you can use the gym as a witch. But, sometimes you just want to get in there and you want to actually ground yourself. You don't want to be doing all this other mental stuff or all of these witchcraft types of things when you're in the gym. You simply want to go there to ground yourself. And that's perfectly fine. That's perfectly okay. Got home from this awesome fucking workout. This is probably the second time, I think, that I have had enough energy and also the courage to do cardio post my lifting. And yesterday was the first day. Usually I do my cardio, or technically I was following the Couch to 5K program, but I was using it as a means to feel comfortable running, be able to run longer than 2 seconds, increase endurance, and eventually be able to work up to having an actual cardio routine. And the Couch to 5K program, you can actually download an app. It's free. I think it's called Just Run, and it'll coach you through the entire program. I actually stopped at the end of the 8th week. It technically runs 9 weeks. And I didn't feel like, oh my God, I'm failing because I didn't finish. I only have 1 week left. Because I have reached a point where I'm a lot more healed than I was when there's like all these cycles, right, that happen. Like in the beginning, like this is the Bible. In the beginning there was. I want to say when I was like in my early 20s, I felt like I couldn't finish a lot of things. Like that was just like a very like deeply ingrained belief that I had. So then I went into this phase where I had to finish everything I started. And now that I completely understand that I'm very well and capable, or very well, oh my gosh, English right now. I'm very capable of completing things. Now I'm going through the part where I'm only going to finish things that make sense to be finished. I'm not going to finish something just because it's unfinished. Like that's stupid. So I guess like I knew that I could complete that last 9th week because the last week, the 9th week of the 0 to 5K is literally the 3 sessions in that last week are 30 minutes, 30 minutes, 30 minutes of just running straight. And I'm like, I already know I could do 30 minutes because I did it on the last run of the 8th week. But now I want to get more out of my cardio sessions. I'm not saying that running is easy. I mean, okay, Rewind. I want to make sure that I'm getting the most out of my lifting sessions paired with my cardio / conditioning. Whereas when I was running and really pushing the 5K program to make sure that I could even do the running, I was prioritizing the running and the cardio to prove to myself that I could do it. And my lifting sessions were suffering due to that because I had to strategically place specifically my leg days around the running because I didn't want to injure myself because my legs were getting toast constantly and injuring during the running portion, not the lifting portion. But I refused to stop weightlifting because I didn't want to pick one over the other. I just decreased the frequency and or intensity or volume with the lifting while I was running that program. And now that the 8 weeks are over, I'm like, okay, I want to prioritize my lifting or push myself more in my lifting, but I still want to do the cardio. But if I make it a cardio session versus a running session, then the only thing I need to make sure of is my heart rate being where it needs to be for it to be a cardio session, right? But the way that I raise that heart rate doesn't matter. It doesn't have to be running anymore, which is harder on your knees and ankles and all that stuff compared to, like, let's just say elliptical, which is really freaking easy on my body, but I can take it to a place where my heart rate can get to that cardio conditioning level. So that's why I was okay finishing the program 1 week shy of finishing it, because there was real no benefit. Unless I was going to try to run a 5K or like a marathon, I don't see any point of having to do that and continue to train that way. I really just want to be fit, and that doesn't mean that I'm just going to be only a runner. I think it would be impossible for me to do that transition just because I love lifting so much. So the reason that it was like a big deal for me to do cardio post weightlifting, you just look crazy sometimes, and that was just like another level of comfort that I hadn't reached, on top of the fact that I had no cardio, like I had no cardio base, you know, but being able to do those 8 weeks of the 0 to 5K or couch to 5K program, it built that confidence and it built my cardio up so that I could actually feel comfortable and not give a fuck even more about I'm in the gym to work on myself, and if that means that I'm going to lift and then I'm going to do cardio and I'm going to look like a sweaty hot dog, you know, then that's what it is. So yesterday was the first time that I actually did the cardio in years, because usually I do, like I said, my running, my cardio is here at the house. And I had to stop myself from crying during this cardio session. I stopped myself from crying because I didn't want to start crying and then like have to stop doing the cardio. But after I was in the car with my sister and I told her all these emotions that were arising and the reason why like I was crying, and during this release, because I ended up crying to my sister, during the time that I was crying, I was explaining to her like all of these different reasons of why I was getting emotional, because it happened more than once during the time that I was revisiting these emotions, which was good because I needed to let them go. And some of it has to do with my uncle that passed away when I was 12, who I hold near and dear to my heart. I think I've mentioned him before, like 1 or 2 other times on this channel a long time ago. And just thinking about how he would see me now and how he would want so much for me, and he would believe in me sometimes more than I believe in myself. So that made me really emotional. And then another factor was that I felt like I was finally becoming a different person. And I think I've talked about this before on here too. To notice those changes as they're happening is just another level of awareness for me. And I see it as a fucking gift. I see it as like this payout, this testament to all the work that I've been doing for these past few years, concentrated more on like the past 5 years, but like really all those years, like that work pays off. The work that you put into yourself really does fucking pay off. Yeah, just noticing like I'm a different person. I'm not who I was a year ago. I'm not who I was 5 months ago. I'm not even who I was 2 months ago. And in a very like positive, amazing way, it just feels great to be able to say that. And I didn't want to not share these moments because I know that there's people out there that are wherever they are in their healing journey, and it gets really difficult to be able to constantly go in anything, right? But when it comes to healing yourself, a lot of the times you have to put that to the side because you got to take care of business, whatever that business is, right? But always come back, because the rewards are like something that you have no idea how amazing they are. Like, they're beyond your wildest dreams. So yeah, yesterday I had like that like breakthrough releasing moment during cardio. And then today I did my second session of cardio, and I got a little emotional again, but over something totally different. And I was talking to my sister about this while I was in the car yesterday. But it's like this somatic releasing. And I think I've mentioned it on here, and it's probably also in the description. I've been working on a somatic trauma healing therapy certification for quite a long time now. And this program should not be taking me as long as it's taking me, but it's because it's something that is a bit of shadow work for me. So it's going to take me extra long, and I'm okay with that. And every time I do another like module, it just feels heavy, but like not in like an exhaustive way. Heavy like as in I'm doing the work. And then obviously like they're teaching us how to deal with people that are going through certain things, but it's also like having to revisit when that was applicable to ourselves. I know for some people, they do certain stretches specifically to open their hips, you know, and they have these like crazy releases. And I never understood that because I've always done a lot of stretching and I never get any type of like emotional release or anything. I don't want to say that I'm flexible, but for somebody that's that lifts weights on the regular, I think my mobility is pretty decent. But when I do cardio, that's when I emotionally release. Because yesterday was not the first time that I've had this huge like release and or epiphany or emotions wash over me as I was sweating and breathing hard. This is something that I want to say the first time I noticed it happened was probably around 2020. And I was doing a very difficult HIIT session. And HIIT is high intensity interval training for those of you who don't know. And as I'm getting through it and I'm nearing the end, and I mean, it was so difficult for me because at that time I was really out of shape, and it was so difficult for me. And probably like 3 minutes before the whole thing was complete, because I was watching a video, I was following like a HIIT recorded session. 3 minutes before it ended, I saw like the light at the end of the tunnel of like, I could actually do this, right? And that had me like crying, like that kind of crying for a while. And I was like, why am I crying? Like, I didn't understand, you know? And it has a lot to do, of course, with like showing yourself that you're capable of things that you may not think you're capable of. But a girl's been talking way too long per usual. And if this is supposed to, whoa. If this is supposed to be like snippets and little vlogs, like, I don't think that's what this can be anymore, because I have a lot of thoughts and I have a lot of things to say and share. So I think this is just going to be like random rants that Jasmine goes through in her life. And that's what it should be called. It shouldn't even be called vlogs anymore. But yeah, I'm going to finish my protein shake, which is right here. It's just a scoop of chocolate protein powder. Isopure, if you want to know. A large ass banana, like a 9-incher. And water and a splash of almond milk. And this is just real quick so that I am not depleted right now because I did lifting and cardio, but I'm gonna actually have a full meal probably within an hour of finishing this.